Joining me now are Loucas Tsakalakos and Glenn Ruskin. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
First off, tell us about the role of the MRS Government Affairs Committee.
So, government affairs is about advocating for science, policy, and funding. Right. So, a big part of our society does research, and that takes funding. Right. And so we advocate on behalf of the society, the members, to ensure that there's adequate research funding that's coming in, primarily U.S. focused, but more broadly for the society as well.
So what are some of the programs that are in place to support that?
So building on what Loucas said, there's two working groups that are part of the Government Affairs Committee. One is public outreach, the other is grassroots advocacy. Public outreach connects MRS leadership and the board members with members of Congress through a Congressional Visits Day. They also do federal agency funding sessions, and they also host a federal agency summit. Here at this meeting at the Materials Voice kiosk in the exhibit hall, members will have a chance to contact their U.S. senators and House members advocating for full funding for a very important piece of legislation, the CHIPS and Science Act, which would be historic levels of funding. So I hope as members watch this video that they'll take the time to go to that kiosk and contact their elected officials.
How important is it that the elected officials hear directly from folks in the material science world?
When you look at the 535 members of Congress and the Senate and the House, there's a handful that have any type of scientific background. So it's critical that they hear from their constituents involved in that area so that they can make good decisions on legislation before them.
So we've been talking about the United States. MRS is international.
Yes.
Is there an international component at all for helping folks who are not in the United States of America?
There are programs that the U.S. government funds that actually fund researchers in other parts of the world for collaborative international research. So we advocate on that issue. About half of the society is outside the
Right.
U.S. Help them as they engage in their local communities. How do we help them and give them materials so that they can advocate on their behalf?
Nice. And to pivot a little bit, the Society co-sponsors a congressional fellowship with Optica. Can you both tell us a little bit more about the Congressional Fellows Program?
Sure. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity for an MRS member to work on Capitol Hill for a period of 1 year, and they get involved with drafting legislation, helping conduct hearings, writing speeches, engaging with a variety of stakeholders. It's really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to engage with policymakers and give them that scientific expertise they so desperately need.
And this might be out of the box for a lot of people who are research-based, but if they want to get involved in the MRS Government Affairs Committee, what should they do?
There is a way to directly reach out through the MRS website and post their interest in joining the committee, but they can also reach out to either of us. We are always looking to add to the committee and grow the committee and build a strong, diverse membership in the committee that can help us in advocacy.
All right. Loucas and Glenn with the MRS Governmental Affairs Committee, we thank you both for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.